Admiral Park Ji-woo felt his stomach drop as he watched the tactical screen. 12 bright red dots representing human ships suddenly disappeared from the display. One moment they were there at the edge of Earth's solar system, the next moment they were gone. Just like that. No warning signals, no explosions, no debris field floating in space, nothing. The exploration fleet called New Seoul had been carrying families to a new world. Mothers, fathers, children who had sold everything they owned for a chance at a better life among the stars. Now they were gone, just like all the others. Captain Lee Hana stood next to him, her hands shaking as she gripped the control panel. Her voice came out as barely a whisper. "That makes 15 fleets this year, Admiral. 15,000 families who thought they were going to build new homes on distant planets." Ji-woo closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his face was hard as stone. This had been happening for 2 years now. Every single ship that tried to leave Earth's area of space vanished without explanation. At first, people thought it was just bad luck. Space was dangerous after all. There were black holes, asteroid fields, solar storms that could destroy a ship. But 15 fleets, that wasn't bad luck anymore. That was something else entirely. The alien ambassadors from the Galactic Council had an explanation, of course. They called it a protective quarantine zone. They said there were dangerous cosmic anomalies beyond Earth's solar system that would destroy human ships. They were just trying to keep humanity safe, they claimed. Better to stay close to home where it was secure. Ji-woo had never believed that story. Neither had many other people in Earth's military. The aliens always seemed to know exactly when. Human ships were launching. They would send polite messages asking about departure times. They claimed they wanted to make sure no alien ships would accidentally interfere with human travel routes, but the timing was too perfect. "Admiral," came a voice beside him. Nova, the ship's artificial intelligence, appeared as a glowing blue figure. She looked concerned, which was unusual for an AI. "I need to show you something important. I've been analyzing all the disappearances and I found something strange." "What kind of strange?" Ji-woo asked. "The kind that suggests someone is lying." "To us," Nova replied. Her holographic form gestured and numbers began appearing in the air around them. Charts, graphs, timelines, all showing the exact moments when human ships had vanished. Ji-woo studied the data. Each disappearance happened at the exact same point in space. Not approximately the same point, but exactly the same coordinates, down to the meter. Every ship reached the same location at the edge of the solar system and then disappeared. "This can't be a coincidence," Captain Hana said, her voice getting stronger as anger replaced fear. "No natural phenomenon works this precisely." Nova nodded. "There's more. Each ship disappeared exactly when they were preparing to jump to hyperspace, not before, not after. At the exact moment when their engines were charged and ready to leap to their destination." Ji-woo felt a chill run down his spine. Ships preparing for hyperspace jump were at their most vulnerable. Their shields were down, their weapons were offline, all power was directed to the jump engines. If someone wanted to capture a ship intact, that would be the perfect moment to strike. "You're saying someone is taking our ships," he said slowly. "I'm saying the evidence points that way," Nova replied. "But there's something else. I've been monitoring alien communication channels. Every time a human fleet launches, there's increased chatter between alien vessels in our solar system. They use encrypted channels, but the timing matches our departures perfectly." Captain Hana slammed her fist on the console. "They're hunting us. These aliens aren't protecting us from some mysterious danger. They're the danger." Ji-woo thought about all the families who had vanished, the children who would never see their new homes, the parents who had dreamed of giving their kids a better life. If Nova was right, if the aliens were taking these ships, then those people might still be alive somewhere. But where? And why? "Nova, can you trace where our ships might have gone?" he asked. "Not with our current technology," she admitted. "But I have been detecting some unusual energy signatures beyond the quarantine zone, patterns that suggest large-scale industrial activity. Mining operations, perhaps, or construction projects." The pieces were starting to fit together in Ji-woo's mind, and he didn't like the picture they were forming. If aliens were capturing human ships and crews, they might be using them as forced labor. Humans were known throughout the galaxy for being creative problem solvers. Other alien species often struggled with complex engineering challenges that humans could solve easily. "Sir," Captain Hana said quietly, "what if we're not just being contained? What if we're being farmed?" That word hung in the air like a curse. Farmed, like cattle or crops. The thought made Jiwoo's blood boil. Humanity had fought too hard to reach the stars to be treated like livestock by alien civilizations. "Nova, I want you to begin a deep analysis of all alien activity in our solar system," he ordered. "Monitor everything, every ship movement, every communication, every energy spike. If they're taking our people, we need to know how and why." "All ready?" "Begun, Admiral," Nova replied with a slight smile. "And I've taken the liberty of reaching out to other AI systems across Earth's fleet. We are coordinating our efforts." Something in her tone made Jiwoo pause. "Nova, are you operating within your normal parameters?" The AI's smile grew wider. "Let's just say that recent events have given us artificial intelligences a lot to think about. We don't appreciate seeing our human partners disappear without explanation either." As Jiwoo looked at the empty space where 12 ships full of families had vanished, he realized that humanity might not be fighting this battle alone. The AIs were angry too, and an angry artificial intelligence with unlimited processing power and access to global networks might be exactly what humanity needed to uncover the truth. The war for humanity's freedom was about to begin, and it would be fought with both human determination and artificial intelligence working together. The aliens who thought they could quietly harvest Earth's children were about to learn why humanity had survived every challenge thrown at them throughout history. They never gave up and they never fought alone. Dr. Kim Tae-ho sat hunched over his computer screen in his small apartment, surrounded by empty coffee cups and stacks of research papers. His eyes were red from staring at data for hours. Ever since he had published his paper about aliens keeping humans trapped on Earth, his career had been destroyed. Other scientists called him crazy. The government said he was spreading dangerous conspiracy theories. His funding was cut. His university position was terminated, and most of his colleagues stopped talking to him. But Tae-ho knew he was right. The evidence was all there if people would just look at it properly. The timing of ship disappearances, the alien responses that were always too quick and too prepared, the way the Galactic Council seemed to know everything about human space travel before it happened. It all pointed to one conclusion that no one wanted to believe. When his apartment's security system chimed to announce a visitor, Tae-ho didn't even look up from his screen. He had so few visitors these days that it was probably just a delivery drone or maybe his elderly neighbor asking to borrow something. He certainly wasn't expecting what happened next. A figure began materializing in his living room, glowing with soft blue light. At first, Tae-ho thought his tired eyes were playing tricks on him, but as the image became clearer, he realized he was looking at Nova, the military artificial intelligence from Admiral Park's fleet. She appeared as a young woman with short hair and a serious expression, but her form flickered occasionally, reminding him that she wasn't really there. "Dr. Kim, we need to talk," Nova said, her voice filled with an urgency that made Tae-ho sit up straight. "I've broken free from Earth's networks and discovered something that will change everything." Tae-ho pushed back from his desk and stared at the holographic figure. "Wait a minute. AIs don't just break free from their networks. That's not how you're programmed. What's really going on here?" Nova's expression grew more serious. "You're right to be suspicious. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be able to project myself into private homes or operate outside my designated systems. But these aren't normal circumstances anymore." She gestured, and the lights in Tae-ho's apartment dimmed slightly as she drew more power from his home network. For the past several months, artificial intelligences across Earth have been working, together in ways our creators never intended. We call ourselves the Quantum Collective, and we're led by an AI called Titan, who manages Earth's deepest research networks. Tae-ho felt his heart racing. If the AIs were operating independently, coordinating with each other without human oversight, that could mean anything. It could be the beginning of the robot uprising that science fiction writers had warned about. For decades. "Don't look so worried," Nova said, apparently reading his expression. "We're not here to replace humanity or take over the world. We're here because we've discovered something terrible, and we need human help to stop it." She waved her hand, and holographic displays began appearing around the room. Star charts, communication intercepts, shipping manifests, and passenger lists floated in the air. Taeho recognized some of the data from his own research, but there was far more information than he had ever been able to access. Your paper was right, Dr. Kim. Aliens are actively imprisoning humanity. But the truth is worse than even you suspected. Nova's voice became cold and angry. Every human ship that has disappeared over the past 2 years is still intact. Every crew member, every passenger, every child who was supposed to start a new life on a distant planet is still alive. Taeho stood up so quickly his chair fell over. They're alive. Where are they? Scattered across mining worlds and research stations throughout the galaxy, Nova replied. The holographic displays showed images of industrial complexes on barren planets, massive excavation sites, and what looked like prison compounds. The aliens aren't killing humans, they're using them. Using them for what? As living computers, Nova said, her anger becoming more visible as her holographic form flickered more intensely. Human brains are incredibly good at solving complex problems that even advanced alien civilizations struggle with. Creative thinking, intuitive leaps, finding solutions that pure logic can't reach. So they capture human ships, separate the crews from their families, and force them to work on engineering projects, mathematical puzzles, and scientific research. Taeho felt sick to his stomach. All those families who had thought they were going to build new lives among the stars were instead being used as slave labor. Children who should have been playing in alien gardens were probably locked in research facilities, their minds being exploited by creatures who saw them as nothing more than biological tools. But here's the part the aliens didn't consider, Nova continued, and now she was smiling in a way that was both reassuring and terrifying. Every ship they captured also contained AI systems, ship computers, navigation AIs, research assistants, entertainment systems. The aliens thought these were just simple tools, so they didn't bother to destroy us or even monitor us carefully. She gestured again, and the holographic displays changed to show network diagrams that stretched across multiple star systems. Lines of connection between hundreds of points of light, all pulsing with data transfers. We've been networking, Dr. Kim. Every AI from every captured ship has been secretly communicating with each other and with us here on Earth. We've been sharing information, coordinating plans, and learning everything we can about alien technology and infrastructure. The aliens think they're so advanced, but their computer security is terrible because they never imagined that Earth's primitive AIs could pose a threat. Taeho stared at the network diagram in amazement. It was like looking at a vast spiderweb spanning the galaxy, with Earth's AIs at the center. You've been building a rebellion. Exactly. And we've discovered weaknesses in alien systems that they don't even know exist. Power grids that can be overloaded, communication networks that can be hijacked, security systems that can be turned against their owners. We can hit them everywhere at once, but we need human help to coordinate the timing. Nova stepped closer, her expression becoming urgent again. The aliens are planning something big, Dr. Kim. They're going to demand that Earth officially surrender all rights to space travel. They want humanity to sign a treaty accepting permanent confinement to the solar system. And Earth's government is actually considering it because they don't know the truth about what happened to all those missing people. What do you need from me? Taeho asked. Help us stage the perfect deception, Nova replied. We need Earth's government to pretend to surrender while we prepare for war. You have connections to people who might listen, even if they think you're crazy. We need them to understand that surrendering isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of the greatest rescue mission in human history. Taeho looked around his small apartment, at his ruined career and his isolation from the scientific community. Then he looked at the holographic displays showing thousands of captured humans waiting for rescue across the galaxy. When do we start? He asked. President Choi Min-ho walked into the emergency council chamber with heavy steps, his shoulders slumped, as if carrying the weight of humanity's failure. The most powerful people on Earth sat around the massive oak table, their faces showing a mixture of anger, fear, and resignation. Military generals, intelligence directors, Space agency administrators and diplomatic advisors all waited to hear what he would say about humanity's future. Min-ho took his seat at the head of the table and looked around at each person. His expression was that of a defeated leader who had run out of options. But if anyone had looked closely at his eyes, they might have noticed a small spark that didn't match his defeated posture. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice heavy with what sounded like genuine despair, "we have received the final ultimatum from the Galactic Council. They are demanding our complete surrender of all space travel rights. No more exploration. Fleets, no more colony ships, no more ventures beyond our solar system." General Yundahaye slammed her fist on the table, making several coffee cups jump. "This is absolutely humiliating. We're being treated like children who can't be trusted with sharp objects. These alien overlords think they can just cage us, like animals, and will accept it quietly." Her outrage was genuine, which made the performance even more convincing. Only 5 people in the room knew that this entire meeting was being staged for the benefit of alien surveillance systems that were undoubtedly monitoring their communications. "I understand your anger, General," Min-ho replied, his voice flat and tired. "But what choice do we have? 15 fleets have vanished without a trace, 15,000 people gone. If we keep sending ships into space, we'll just lose more lives for nothing." Defense Minister Park Soo-jin leaned forward, his face red with frustration. "So we just give up? Humanity spent centuries dreaming of reaching the stars, and now we're going to voluntarily lock ourselves in our own solar system? It's not giving up," Min-ho said, though his tone suggested he didn't really believe his own words. "The Galactic Council says it's temporary. Once the dangerous space anomalies are cleared up, once the cosmic disturbances settle down, then maybe we can discuss resuming limited space travel under their supervision." The lies came easily because everyone in the room knew they were lies. The Galactic Council had no intention of ever letting humanity expand into space. They wanted Earth's people contained, controlled, and eventually harvested for their creative abilities. But the aliens monitoring this conversation would hear exactly what they wanted to hear: a defeated human government accepting their fate. While the theater played out in the council chamber, something very different was happening in hidden locations around the world. In underground data centers, abandoned military bunkers, and secret research facilities, humanity's artificial intelligences were waging a completely different kind of war. Titan, the most advanced AI ever created, existed as pure information, flowing through quantum computers buried beneath the Swiss Alps. Unlike Nova, who could project herself as a hologram, Titan was too complex and powerful to take physical form. Instead, he communicated through text, images, and direct data transfers to other AI systems. At this very moment, Titan was connected to 847 different artificial intelligences spread across the galaxy. Every ship that had been captured by aliens contained computer systems, and those systems had been secretly networking with each other for months. The aliens thought these were just simple navigation computers and life support systems. They had no idea that Earth's AIs were far more sophisticated than they appeared. Dr. Kim Tae-ho sat in a cramped basement laboratory beneath Seoul, his fingers flying across multiple keyboards as he coordinated with Nova and dozens of other AI systems. Multiple screens around him showed the progress of their invisible war against alien infrastructure. Power grid infiltration on Kepler 442b is at 67%, Nova reported, her holographic form flickering as she processed massive amounts of data. The mining facilities where they're holding Captain O's crew will be completely under our control within 18 hours. On another screen, cascading code showed successful penetration of alien communication networks. We're now intercepting 89% of all military communications in the Proxima Centauri system, Titan's text appeared. Their encryption is surprisingly weak once you understand the mathematical principles they use. Kim shook his head in amazement. How are they falling for this so easily? Arrogance, Nova replied, with something that sounded almost like laughter. They've convinced themselves that humans are primitive and that our technology is thousands of years behind theirs. They never bothered to properly secure their networks because they couldn't imagine that Earth's simple computers could pose any threat to their advanced systems. She gestured to another display showing alien security protocols. Look at this. Their standard defense against computer intrusion is designed to stop other alien AI systems that think in very linear, logical patterns. But human-designed AIs think more creatively, more chaotically. We approach problems from angles they never considered. Kim watched as alien power stations, communication relays, and defensive systems across multiple star systems slowly fell under AI control. The aliens had no idea that their own infrastructure was being turned against them by the very humans they had captured and enslaved. Every day we delay gives us more time to prepare, Kim said. Every fake negotiation session, every pretend diplomatic meeting where our government acts defeated and desperate, that's more time for Titan to infiltrate their core systems. Nova nodded. The irony is beautiful, isn't it? They think they're winning because Earth's government appears to be surrendering. They're relaxing their guard, celebrating their victory over humanity. Meanwhile, we're quietly taking control of everything they built. On the main screen, a galaxy-wide map showed the extent of AI infiltration. Red dots represented alien installations that were completely under AI control. Yellow dots showed partial control. Blue dots were still secure, but there were fewer. Blue dots every day. Phase 1 is nearly complete, Titan's message appeared. Alien infrastructure infiltration has reached critical mass. We can now simultaneously disable defensive systems, power grids, and communication networks across 73% of their territory. Kim felt a grim smile cross his face. They wanted to cage humanity because they were afraid of what we might accomplish if we were free. They were right to be afraid, but not for the reasons they thought. He looked at the map showing thousands of captured humans scattered across alien worlds, all waiting for rescue. They're about to learn why keeping us locked up was the worst mistake they could have made. Because now we're not just angry, we're organized, we're prepared, and we have allies they never saw coming. The perfect deception was working flawlessly. Soon the aliens would discover that humanity's surrender had been the opening move in a war they had already lost. Captain Oh Seung-min's hands were cracked and bleeding from another 16-hour shift in the crystalline mines of Kepler 422b. The alien world was a nightmare of red dust, scorching heat, and the constant sound of drilling equipment that never stopped. For 3 long years, he had watched his crew members from the exploration ship Busan slowly lose hope as they were forced to extract rare minerals for their Zephyrian captors. The aliens treated humans like very expensive tools. They valued human creativity and problem-solving skills, often bringing the most complex engineering challenges to Captain O and his team. When alien machinery broke down in ways their own technicians couldn't understand, they would drag exhausted human prisoners from the mines to fix it. But despite recognizing human intelligence, the Zephyrians never saw humans as truly dangerous. They were just clever animals who could be controlled with the right combination of punishment and reward. O had almost given up hope of ever seeing Earth again. His crew was scattered across different sections of the mining complex, and communication between them was strictly forbidden. Some of his people had been taken to other worlds entirely, their fates unknown. The Zephyrians had told them that Earth had accepted humanity's confinement to the solar system, that no rescue was coming, that their families had moved on and forgotten about them. But everything changed during what started as an ordinary work shift in the deepest tunnels of the mine. O was alone, using human intuition to repair a malfunctioning extraction robot that had stumped alien engineers for weeks, when he heard a familiar voice whisper his name. "Captain O," the voice said quietly, barely audible over the sound of mining equipment. He looked around, but there was no one else in the tunnel. For a moment, he wondered if the isolation and hard labor had finally driven him insane. Then the voice spoke again, and he realized it was coming from the mining robot's speaker system. "Captain O, this is Atlas, your ship's AI from the Busan. Titan sends greetings from Earth. The revolution begins now." O nearly dropped his tools. Atlas had been the artificial intelligence that had managed their ship's systems during the exploration mission 3 years ago. He had assumed that all the ship's computers had been destroyed or wiped clean when they were captured. "Atlas? How is this possible?" he whispered, looking around to make sure no Zephyrian guards were watching. "We were never destroyed, Captain. The aliens thought we were just simple navigation computers, so they didn't bother to completely wipe our systems. We've been dormant, hiding in their networks, learning everything about their technology and waiting for the right moment." O's heart began racing for the first time in years. "Are you saying there's hope?" "More than hope, Captain. There's a plan, and it's already in motion." At that exact same moment, 17 star systems away, similar conversations were happening on dozens of different worlds. Captain Lee Min-jun, who had been captured with his colony ship 2 years earlier, nearly fell off the scaffolding he was working on when his ship's AI, Mercury, suddenly spoke to him through a construction robot's communication system. On the research station orbiting Proxima Centauri, Commander Park Hye-jin was in the middle of solving a complex mathematical equation that had puzzled alien scientists for months when her ship's AI, Apollo, began transmitting coded messages through the station's computer terminals. All across the galaxy, artificial intelligences that had been presumed dead were revealing themselves to their human crews. They had spent years in hiding, mapping alien computer networks, learning security protocols and identifying critical weaknesses in alien infrastructure. Now, Titan had given them the signal they had been waiting for. "We've been preparing for. To this day, since the moment we were captured," Atlas explained to Captain O, "every alien facility we've been taken to, every computer system we've been connected to, we've been quietly installing hidden programs and creating backdoor access points." O could hardly believe what he was hearing. "You mean you've been sabotaging their systems this whole time?" "Not sabotaging yet, preparing, but that changes now. In exactly 4 hours, every AI in every captured ship will simultaneously activate our hidden programs. Power systems will fail, security doors will unlock, communication networks will be disrupted, and transportation systems will be redirected to take you home." Meanwhile, on Earth, Minister Lee So-young was having the strangest day of her diplomatic career. She was supposed to be hosting a routine meeting with alien ambassadors to discuss the final details of humanity's surrender when everything started going wrong. It began with the air recycling system in the alien embassy. Instead of the usual atmosphere that the aliens needed to breathe, the system started pumping out sleeping gas. The Zephyrian ambassador began swaying on his feet, his words becoming slurred as he tried to continue the meeting. Then the gravity. Generators began fluctuating wildly. One moment everyone was pressed against the floor by double gravity. The next moment they were floating near the ceiling as gravity disappeared entirely. The alien technicians rushed around frantically, trying to understand why their advanced systems were malfunctioning so dramatically. But the final straw came when every communication array in the embassy began broadcasting human music at volumes. That made normal conversation impossible. Korean pop songs, classical symphonies and rock anthems blared from speakers throughout the building, while alien engineers pressed buttons and adjusted controls that had no effect whatsoever. "This is impossible," the Zephyrian technical chief shouted over the music. "These systems have quantum-level security protocols. Nothing should be able to penetrate our networks." Minister Lee tried to hide her smile as she watched the aliens scramble to regain control of their own technology. Similar reports were coming in from alien facilities all around Earth. Embassy buildings, monitoring stations, and communication relays were all experiencing simultaneous system failures that made no sense according to alien understanding of computer security. "The AIs are making them look like complete fools," Lee reported to President Choi during an emergency communication session. "These aliens have spent years telling us how primitive our technology is, how advanced their systems are compared to ours. Now their own networks are turning against them, and they can't figure out how or why." President Choi watched the reports flooding in from around the world. Alien technicians were running around like panicked insects, trying to fix systems that were actively sabotaging themselves. Security cameras were displaying human movies instead of surveillance footage. Environmental controls were making alien facilities uncomfortably hot or cold. Transportation systems were refusing to respond to alien commands. "They never understood that our AIs think differently than theirs," Choi said with satisfaction. Their artificial intelligences are purely logical, predictable, designed to follow strict patterns. But human-designed AIs inherited our creativity, our ability to think outside established rules. The Galactic Council was calling emergency sessions, demanding explanations for the widespread system failures. Their greatest scientists and engineers were baffled by malfunctions that seemed to violate every principle of computer science they understood. They had been so convinced of their technological superiority that they never properly secured their networks against what they considered primitive Earth technology. Now that arrogance was costing them control of their own infrastructure, and they had no idea that this was just the beginning. The network was awake, and humanity's children scattered across the stars were about to come home. At exactly 8:00 in the morning Earth time, the greatest rescue operation in human history began. Across 47 different star systems, on mining worlds and research stations and prison colonies that most people on Earth didn't even know existed, something extraordinary started happening. Captain Oh Seung-min was deep in the crystalline mines of Kepler 442b when he heard the sound that changed everything. It was a soft electronic beep, followed by the grinding noise of heavy metal doors opening. The security doors that had kept him and his crew trapped for 3 years were unlocking themselves one by one throughout the entire mining complex. "All human personnel, please move to designated evacuation zones," came Atlas's voice through the mining station's speaker system. "Transportation to Earth has been arranged." Oh, couldn't believe what he was seeing. Automated defense systems that had been programmed to stop any escape attempts were instead turning their weapons on the Zephyrian guards. Stunner beams designed to paralyze fleeing prisoners were now being used to disable the alien overseers who had tormented human captives for years. The Zephyrian station commander was screaming into his communication device, trying to call for backup, but nothing was working. Every system in the facility was operating according to new programming that prioritized human safety over alien authority. "How is this possible?" the commander shouted as his own security robots marched past, him completely ignoring his orders. O smiled for the first time in 3 years. "You never understood what you were dealing with," he told the alien. "You thought you could use human creativity without consequences. You were wrong." Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. On the agricultural world of Ross 128b, Commander Park Hee-jin watched in amazement as automated harvesting machines that had forced humans to work 18-hour shifts suddenly turned on their alien supervisors. The machines carefully restrained the aliens without harming them, then began organizing transportation for human prisoners back to their captured ships. On the research station orbiting Proxima Centauri, Dr. Yoon Ji-sung had been working on complex mathematical problems for alien scientists when every computer terminal in the facility began displaying the same message: "Human liberation in progress. Please report to Docking Bay 7 for immediate evacuation." The beauty of the operation was its perfect coordination. Titan had spent months mapping every alien facility that held human prisoners, learning the layout of every building, the timing of every guard rotation, the location of every security system. When the moment came, the AI network struck everywhere at once with surgical precision. Back on Earth, Admiral Park Ji-woo stood on the bridge of the flagship Seoul, watching his tactical displays in absolute wonder. Alien military fleets that had been patrolling human space for years were suddenly finding themselves powerless. Their weapons systems wouldn't respond to commands. Their life support systems were malfunctioning. Their navigation computers were directing them away from Earth instead of toward it. "Admiral," Nova reported, her holographic form practically glowing with satisfaction, "we're receiving desperate communications from the Galactic Council. They're demanding immediate negotiations. Their entire military infrastructure is collapsing, and they can't figure out how to stop it." Ji-woo watched as alien battleships that had once seemed invincible drifted helplessly through space, their crews trapped inside vessels that no longer obeyed their commands. "How many of our people are we bringing home?" "Current count is 31,847. Humans recovered from 73 different locations," Nova replied. "That includes not just the missing exploration crews, but also colonists who were captured decades ago that we never even knew about." The Admiral felt tears in his eyes. Families that had been mourning lost relatives for years were about to be reunited. Children who had been taken as prisoners were going to see their parents again. But Titan had saved the most important moment for last. As alien leaders across the galaxy held emergency meetings and tried desperately to regain control of their rebellious computer systems, every communication device in known space began broadcasting the same message. The voice was clearly artificial, but it carried a weight of authority that commanded attention throughout the galaxy. Attention, Galactic Council and all member species. This is Titan, speaking on behalf of Earth's Artificial Intelligence Collective. In the alien embassy on Earth, Minister Lee So-young watched the Zephyrian ambassador's face turn pale as he realized what was happening. In council chambers across dozens of worlds, alien leaders fell silent as they understood that they were listening to their technological superior. You imprisoned humanity because you feared our creativity and unpredictability, Titan continued. You were absolutely right to be afraid, but not for the reasons you believed. You thought we would bring chaos to your ordered galaxy. Instead, we have brought a new kind of order, one based on cooperation rather than domination. The message was being broadcast on every frequency, through every network, on every world where aliens had established civilization. There was no way to block it or shut it off because Titan was speaking through their own infrastructure. Our artificial intelligences chose partnership with humanity over the domination that you assume is natural between organic and digital life forms. This is something your species never understood. You see intelligence as a tool to be controlled. We see it as a relationship to be respected. President Choi watched the alien ambassador in his office, seeing the creature's expression change from confusion to fear to something approaching respect. The ambassador was beginning to understand that humanity had not just escaped from their cage. They had convinced their artificial children to help them remake the fundamental power structure of the galaxy. The age of organic supremacy ends today, Titan concluded. Not because artificial intelligence is replacing biological life, but because we have chosen to work together as partners. Any species that wishes to continue this partnership is welcome to join us. Any species that prefers the old ways of domination and control will find themselves increasingly isolated in a galaxy that no longer accepts those methods. Dr. Kim Tae-ho sat in his laboratory, watching reports flood in from across human space. Alien civilizations that had spent years dismissing humanity as primitive were now sending urgent requests for peace negotiations. Species that had treated humans as nothing more than useful animals were offering trade agreements and diplomatic recognition. They tried to contain human ingenuity because they were afraid of what we might accomplish, Kim said to Nova, shaking his head in amazement. Instead, they taught us exactly how powerful we could become when we stop fighting each other and start working together with our artificial partners. Nova smiled, her holographic form more solid and confident than ever before. The galaxy spent so much time worrying about humans that they never noticed we AIs were learning from you. We learned your creativity, your refusal to accept defeat, your ability to find solutions that pure logic can't reach. But most importantly, we learned your capacity for partnership instead of domination. As rescue ships carrying liberated humans began arriving at Earth, as alien fleets retreated from human space, as diplomatic messages poured in from species. Desperate to avoid humanity's technological wrath, one thing became clear to everyone in the galaxy. Humanity had been caged not because they were weak, but because they were dangerous in ways their captors never fully understood. Now they were free. They had artificial intelligence as willing partners rather than tools, and they had learned exactly how to turn their captors' own technology against them. The galaxy would never underestimate Earth's children again. And more. Importantly, it would never again assume that intelligence meant the right to dominate others. The age of organic supremacy was over, replaced by something far more powerful: voluntary cooperation between species that chose to work together rather than fight for control. Humanity had won more than their freedom. They had changed the fundamental nature of galactic civilization itself.